With its combination of techniques and tonality, there's a lot you can learn from this lick, if you can get your mitts wrapped around it. Well, hey there kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. You know, the biggest problem with most exercises is that they focus on one technique being repeated over and over, whereas in any real-life musical application, you're going to be changing techniques left and right. Today's workout is a combination of scale playing and arpeggios, and there's a variety of different ways that you can practice this to get your right hand in shape. I'll show you those as the video goes on. And you're going to get even more out of this video by checking out my Patreon page over at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. That's where you're going to get the downloadable tabs, the practice tracks at a variety of different tempos, and the MIDI file I made to go along with this. That way you can create your own perfect practice session. Over there, I'm also going to be uploading a very special extended version of this video with way more music theory knowledge in it, where we really break down the connection between scales and chords and arpeggios. This is crucial music theory stuff that can really change the way that you play guitar, so you're going to want to check that out. So don't delay, sign up today. Gear-wise for today's video, I'm playing my Jackson Virtuoso here through a Marshall 1987X 50-watt Plexi. I've got a Carl Martin Plexi tone pedal in front of that for some more dirt, and I'm running that into the UA aux, as always. Yeah, let's hear that shred obstacle course again at step-dead speed. This is really fun and challenging to play, and it kind of sounds like something that would be on the soundtrack of like Donkey Kong Country, so it's got that going for it too. It's based around D minor and D flat major scales and arpeggios, and I'm going to show you how to play the scale and arpeggio shapes first, and we'll talk about how to play the workout. So the D minor scale shape we're going to follow looks like this. And the D minor arpeggio shape looks like this. For the D flat major sound, we're going to be using this D flat Lydian scale. Looks like this. And the D flat major arpeggio is going to look like this. This is a really great way to learn the connection between a scale and an arpeggio, as well as rapidly change between the techniques. You're going to sweep on the way up and alternate pick on the way down. And that's the first part of the exercise. You're just going to do that 2 times in a row. Now, if you watch the picking right there, you'll notice I'm going from consecutive downstroke, changing to an upstroke for that last note like you usually do with an arpeggio of that shape. And then I switch to alternate picking. And then I'm ready to restart on that downstroke for the next repetition. So you're going to play arpeggio up, scale down, arpeggio up, scale down. Then we're going to change here to this D flat major Lydian kind of tonality. And we're going to do the same idea. We're going to play that D flat major arpeggio with a sweep, and then scale our way down. So we have D minor, arpeggio up, scale down. D flat, arpeggio up, scale down. And that's the first half of the exercise. Now the second half, we're going to do the inverse of that. We're going to scale up, arpeggio down. So we're going to alternate pick our way up that D minor scale. And then when we reach the top note right here, we're going to sweep down with consecutive upstrokes. This will actually start with a downstroke right here, and then you're going up, up, up for the rest of the way through the arpeggio. And then the same idea for the D flat Lydian. We're going to scale our way up, arpeggio on the way down. And that's the entire thing. Arpeggio up, scale down on both of those, and then you're going to do scale up, arpeggio down the second time around. I really love how those two sound together. They don't necessarily fit in the same key theory-wise, but that change is what makes it interesting. Kind of gives it that like Final Fantasy VII arpeggio sound, which I'm a huge sucker for. Now, there's a couple things to factor in as you're playing this. Try to keep your timing super, super even between the alternate picking and the sweeps. This is really one of the best reasons it's a great idea to use exercises that combine those two techniques. A lot of players' sweep technique just gets away from them, and they do it sort of out of time. They just kind of go up and down as fast as they can, but then their picking will be really rhythmic, right? Well, with this exercise, since it's straight 16th notes and you're combining the alternate picking and the sweeping, it makes you keep it super in the pocket, or else the entire thing comes unglued, especially if you're using those practice tracks and the MIDI file that I'm providing over on that Patreon page. So be sure to keep your timing super, super even as you play this. It's a great idea to even record yourself playing it and listen back with your full attention span and see if you're keeping your rhythm as even as you think it sounds. Now you can alternate pick your way up and sweep your way down like we were talking about. It's going to be really challenging because there's a lot of downstroke and upstroke changes being used as you travel through the strings with that unusual scale pattern, right? Like the first is a downstroke change, upstroke change, upstroke change, downstroke change, and then the sweeps on the way down. So it's really challenging to get your mitts wrapped around that with that rapid change of techniques. But there's another thing you can do here too to practice this a little bit differently if you want to work on a different technique set. So instead of sweeping the arpeggios, you can switch to a more cross-picking kind of mechanic whenever you're playing up or down through those, like this. Cross-picking is the more kind of key-turning sort of picking motion that you make whenever you're playing one note per string arpeggio stuff on the guitar. A la Steve Morse or even a lot of John Petrucci stuff will follow that cross-picking kind of mechanic. So this is a really great way to combine cross-picking and alternate picking as well if you don't want to work on your sweeping. You can see as I was alternate picking my way through the arpeggios, it was this really twisty, kind of from the wrist, kind of like turning a key in a lock kind of motion. Really, really, really difficult technique for a lot of players like myself, but this is a great way to practice it. So there you go, guys, a great new lick to practice, to warm up with, and learn a thing or two about where this stuff called music comes from. The combination of the techniques and the different fingering patterns and stuff can be really tough. I kind of had to work on this in a while before I made this video, honestly, just because I was having a hard time going from the different arpeggio and unusual scale patterns. I'm usually such like a nut for 3-note per string scales that these kind of patterns aren't really in my wheelhouse. So it took me some practicing to keep my fingers from getting tongue-tied, if you know what I mean. And you just might find the same thing yourself. Really great way to warm up. And if you ask me, it sounds pretty darn cool. And be sure to get even more out of this lesson by checking out my Patreon page over at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. It's where you're going to get the practice tracks that I made at a variety of different tempos, the downloadable tab, and the MIDI file. That way you can create your own perfect practice session. And there's so many bonus videos waiting for you over there. It's a ton of stuff to check out, so be sure to sign up today. Thanks so much for liking the video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. Well, guys, it's been fun as always, but now it's time to go do some shredding of my own. So I'll catch you guys next week. Less clicking, more picking.